Greetings and thanks again for purchasing a spreadsheet. I know it's going to be extremely helpful to you once you see how I put this together. It took me forever to figure it out and lay it out the way I wanted it. I wouldn't have been able to process all the cases I was able to without this spreadsheet. So I'm so happy to provide it to you, and I appreciate you purchasing it. I know for a fact, and I wouldn't have even attempted to sell a product like this if I wasn't confident that it worked and that it wouldn't be a huge return on investment for you. So thanks again. All right, so let's just dive right in. And this is going to be very basic, actually. We're going to go through a case from A to Z, and you're going to see how fast this is. So what do we need for data gathering? Well, the first thing we want is to analyze if the client qualifies. And so obviously the best qualifier is going to be the reduction in gross receipts and or the partial and full shutdown. Those two combined make for the best case. What I do is send an extremely basic calculator like this, which I will share with you. It will be in the pack. It's in the package, obviously. So, the client typically fills out the date received, the amount received. It's up to you to determine from the PPP forgiveness application if there's going to be any supplemental expenses that you're going to use to offset and things like that. And you're also going to want to identify the owners as well. But this is really the most critical part, which is the gross receipts. And you could either use this or any other method you like. This kind of gives me a good idea of the quarters that do qualify. And I can see from here that even though, we didn't meet, this is the first quarter, so there's only those couple of weeks. More than likely, that's going to just qualify under the government partial or full shutdown. We can see they easily qualify Q2, Q3 2020, Q4 2020, Q1, Q2. And here they actually don't, but we're going to use the look back period to qualify them for Q3. Q4 is irrelevant, so that doesn't matter. But this is an interesting one. Probably a lot of people maybe missed this, but you can look back in 2021. Of course, you can't do this in 2020. You can look back to the prior quarter and use the prior quarter's qualification number to qualify for the next. So then there's that. So that's number one. Number two, we also want to make sure we get all the 941s, not state wages. I know some people are using the quarterly numbers from the state workers. Unemployment reports, because typically, you have to report the wages separately by employee on those quarterly reports. But in my method, I use the actual check date and I summarize the payroll information by check date. So I don't really use the quarterly numbers. I don't actually use them at all. Some people do. The problem with that is you cannot identify when you're using those quarterly numbers where those wages landed before you receive PPP and after you receive PPP. So that's why this spreadsheet is so critical and why it works so well, because it gives you the control to figure out, and gives you the best and most accurate calculation based on check dates. So, but the first thing, so the second thing we're going to do is get the quarterly 941s through the third quarter of 2021. Just get them all. It should just be part of your initial request. You don't want to have to go back and forth. Just ask them for that. They'll provide it. If you are a recovery startup business, you might want the fourth quarter 2021 as well. And this really is the other real critical. This is where the rubber meets the road. When clients are sending you all kinds of PDF documents of quarterly reports and all kinds, you don't need any of it in this, none of it. And if you can politely tell your clients, listen, I just need one data download from your payroll service. It could be from QuickBooks Online, it could be from ADP, it could be from Heartland, it could be from all kinds of different providers. They all provide a spreadsheet download. there's different descriptions for the type of download, the type of report you want. That can be a little bit challenging, but it's really not. If you just spend the time, maybe they could even send you their login information. Whatever the case may be, all you need is one data download from 3/13 to 9/30/2021. For most cases, obviously, again, not necessarily for recovery startup. You might want the fourth quarter 2021, but the vast majority are going to be 3/13/2020 to 9/30/2021. That's all you need is a CSV file or a spreadsheet file from the payroll service, and it's going to look like this. It's just going to look like this. And from here, you're going to have a lot of detail, and it looks confusing. And how do you figure it all out? And well, first, take a look at the spreadsheet download. And it doesn't matter if you have all this other information. You'll have the pre-tax deductions. What you want to do is simply identify the total gross wages less section 125, of course, or pre-tax, medical, that kind of thing. And just basically figure it out. You could delete, you can add, subtract. You could do, if you're somewhat familiar with Excel, hopefully you bought this with, with some spreadsheet knowledge, which I had mentioned. But you don't have to be an expert in it, but you do need to learn, you do need to know how to add and subtract columns, and maybe add one simple formula to, reduce the gross pay. If there's no adjusted gross pay column, you might need to go and reduce by the pre-tax contributions, and then add, obviously, if you have that situation, add the employer made medical contributions, because those would be added to gross income. But so anyway, this is what it looks like. All right, and you want it by check date, ideally. And this is I'll show you a client real quick that did this. So this is after cleaning it all up and figuring out how I wanted it. This is what the client was able to provide me. In this case, it's like less POP. I don't know what that means, but I think that's less the section 125 contributions. So you have a spreadsheet that looks like this, basically. And now that's ready for me to format. So I'm going to move over to my gross receipts test, and my process is this. I first want to take a look and see what the PPP was and the date. So I'm going to have my gross receipts open. I'm also going to open up a fresh sheet of the calculator, because what I like to do is populate the PPP amounts, so I know where it ends. So in this case, it was 414. Okay. Oops. Now in this spreadsheet, you only should focus on inputting in the yellow. Okay. This is an open source. It's not protected in any way, shape, or form. The formulas are in here. So you don't have to do anything. The only areas you'll really need to focus on are the yellow areas. Everything else is automatic. So then I'm going to put my loan amount here, 446,907. And let's assume this is automatically calculating at 60%, which is the minimum for wages, and the rest obviously are going to be rent, utilities, and things like that. But you could override this anytime if you needed to. So we have that. And then, study the spreadsheet a little bit, try and follow the logic. What are we trying to do here? We're trying to figure out what wages were before 414. That would be outside of PPP. So all of those wages are going to be, if assuming they qualified, all those wages will get the full benefit of ERTC in that period. So, you have that. And anything after 414 and through 929 is in theory what's inside PPP. So that's why I have these descriptions, and you, of course, you can label them any way you want. You don't have to, this is all open. If you have a preference, don't feel like you can't update these things. Just don't do anything with the formulas. So, so we have that, okay? And this that you disregard, it's just part of the formula calculator. And so now let's go back to so now we've identified what period is inside PPP. So I'm going to go to my spreadsheet. I'm going to go to my data. I'm going to go to my data spreadsheet, and I'm going to start identifying. I'm going to add 2 columns here. Okay. Because all I want to know is I want to know the period and the PPP status. Is it in or out? And obviously we're all fighting formatting. So format there a little bit. Let me just kind of try and increase my screen so you could see it a little better. So we have this here. A lot of times when you'll get these spreadsheets, the dates are not formatted correctly. So you'll want to highlight the date range. You'll want to go to data. You'll want to go to text to columns. Okay. And leave everything as delimited. That's fine. I don't even know what these mean, but this is what I found on YouTube once, and it helped me ever since. Keep it as tab, click again, and you want to basically format the column as a date, month, day, year, leave it just like that, finish. And what that'll do is when you click on the filter, actually, I don't know if I remember, if I forgot to show you, you're going to want to filter this and freeze the top pane. So you'll go to view, freeze panes, freeze top row, and then this, when you click on that row, you'll go back to data and filter. And what the reason why is we want to be able to sort from oldest to newest. Okay. So oldest to newest. And now we have our oldest to newest. And this is actually and you could see here, some of these dates didn't come through. So let's also go into format. Where can we go there? We want to go to home, and we want to go to short date. Okay, so there's that too. So there's a little bit of formatting. That's about it though. There's really not much else. I think the thing that really took me a while was the data and then the text to columns, which is to fix, to be able to sort from oldest to newest dates, because a lot of times it's just going to sort by A to Z is like more or less the default. So that's a really critical little tip for using this method. So I'm going to go control home. I can go control arrow down to basically explore the whole range of information. So I'm going to go back to control home to go up. And this is really simple here. And I'm just going to go, well, 3/20/2020 is 1Q/2020, right? So that's it. I'm just going to copy that all the way down. Now we'll go to 2Q/2020. And we'll just, we'll just do our thing for a while. And then 3Q/2020. All right. 4Q/2020. Copy and paste it down. So we're just going to do this whole case, and you're going to see how fast this is. And then we'll do 1Q/2021. Okay. 2Q/2021. 3Q 2021. That should take us to the end because we're not doing 4Q. It's not a recovery startup. All right, so then I'll just click on a empty cell and go control arrow up, or control home, I'm sorry, to get all the way up to the top. There we go. And, next thing in line, I'll go back to the gross receipts test because I forgot. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll go back to my spreadsheet because I forgot what the when the period ended. So I'll go in 2020 is 9/29. Okay, and then it starts again. Oh, I forgot to do the 2021, 2/10/2021. So this is on the 2021 tab. Everything we're doing has already been figured out here, by the way, and this will be in the example. This will come with your spreadsheet. So we have the 220, and then 9/29. All right, so we know it's outside here because I think we said it was 414. So I'm going to just copy and paste and go to outside. So all these wages were outside PPP up to 414. Okay, so we got that. Now we're inside the PPP period. So obviously no double dipping. And I'm just going to go all the way to 9/29. It doesn't mean that we're going to necessarily, keep everything inside, because we're probably going to eat up that PPP loan a lot faster. But for purposes of just keeping this spreadsheet consistent with the PPP period, that's why we're doing it this way. And I believe we went to 2/10/2021, 2/10/2021, and then we're back inside here. And I can't actually remember where that was at. 7/28/2021. Okay. And we got that there. And then we're back outside here to the end of third quarter. All right. So we have that all set up. Now what? Okay, well, most of us, let's save our work. Most of us really have no clue. Well, shouldn't say most of us, but many, many, many accountants have not learned how to use pivot tables. Pivot tables are the easiest thing. It's one of the easiest tools available to us for data summarization. So what we're going to want to do is go to the corner A1, hold down Shift Control, use the right arrow to go across, and then while you're still holding on to Shift Control, click the down arrow. Obviously, you could use your mouse and highlight the range as well, but this is a really fast, quick way to do it. Once we've highlighted the range, we're going to go up top to the menu bar. We're going to go to Insert, and all the way on the left in Excel, you're going to see the Pivot Table function. Click on Pivot Table, and it's going to bring up a dialog screen. It's going to say, all right, this is the range, where do you want to put it? It's already identifying the range of cells that you've already highlighted. We want a new worksheet with this table information, so just leave it at that. That's the default, and then click OK. And it'll bring up this blank pivot table. And you're like, okay, well, what now? Well, these are the column headings. It's critical. Oh, by the way, you do have to have, when you're cleaning up your data, as you're cleaning up the data, every column has to have a heading. All right. So now it brought in all the column headings, and so now it's up to you to build your pivot. And these are the fields where you're going to build it in rows and columns. it'll automatically identify values actually. So for some reason I left this as less pop. I don't know. I guess I can call it wages. I should probably call it wages. And when I go here, since I just made that adjustment, I'll go to data up top in my pivot table tab, and you'll see a little tool that says refresh all, and it sure enough it refreshed the column header there. Sometimes I'll also go in and change the name of the tab so I can identify what I'm looking at, table, or you can call it analysis, whatever you want. So now I'm going to start clicking. Well, what do I want? I want to know the names. I want to know their wages. And I want to identify the period and the PPP. All right. So all the data is in there. It kind of automatically added everything in the row area. In the row. So we don't want it. We want to move that. Now we want to create columns for period and PPP status. And there you have it, just like that. Now we have all of our data in the periods we want to analyze. You know, and you can move that up and down. If you can see what I'm doing here, you can move that up and down. If you want total outside, total inside. I like to do it like this. It's just easier for me to look at. So there's a lot of data in here, but just as long as you're consistent and you know what you're looking at, now this becomes really easy now. So the first column is usually it's going to be the first quarter 2020, and that's outside. Okay, so now we're going to start putting into the spreadsheet. So let's make sure we're in our 2020 tab. And we have that tab here, we're ready to go. So I'm going to copy. Since well, first of all, you can copy the employees first, and don't sort it. Leave it just as is. Just don't sort anything. Copy as is, and I'll show you why that's important. So I'm going to go here. It's saying there's more rows it needs to add. Yeah, so this is really easy. It's going to add it's going to add enough rows. It'll automatically update all formulas and everything else. So that was cool. So I just did a copy and paste. And I'm just going to keep going, copying and pasting. That's Q1 2020. It's all outside. You could see this all coming together. And what else do we need to do? We need to do 2Q out, right? So 2Q out is over here. And you could highlight these as you complete them, highlight them in yellow if you like, just so you know what you were working on. But I've done it so many times that I don't bother. Always start at the top of the range, you know, copy and paste just as it is on the prior sheet. And then we'll go to the inside on your data sheet. Let's see here. Okay, I'll do 3Q. All right, so here's an interesting thing now. So do we need to do a 3Q in and a 3Q out? Probably not, because there's going to be enough wages to absorb it all, because you know we have total wages here of 271, and there's an automatic formula here. You know, I'll show you how to clear this. This is how to clear this out. So we have a lot of wages. So I don't think we need to do a 3Q inside outside. We're just going to copy the total, 3Q total, because we're already going to eat up our PPP in 3Q. So in that case, I don't need to do a 3Q in and out. I'm just going to put in the total. Same with 4Q. Well, 4Q is all outside anyway, so it doesn't even matter. So I'll just grab it from the total Oh, and by the way, you always want to post values. The 1, 2, 3 values. Don't post anything else because it'll override the it'll just override the format. Okay, so we got that. So everything's in line. Now we can start sorting by A to Z, by high low. All the data is where it needs to be now. You know, which represents each column and every employee's wages are in the right bucket now. So so we have that. So let's go into tips and tricks on the spreadsheet. The way the formula works, let's go ahead and just go largest to smallest. This is out anyway. But what needs to happen is there has to be a zero value for the formulas to work here. All right, so no big deal. So we're just going to add zero value here and copy that all the way down. Because you see, otherwise it's picking up ERTC wages from the remaining wages. So we just want to make sure there's zero values here. So this is part of the way the formula is formatted. So that's a tip, an important tip to remember. All right. After that, we shouldn't have to worry about it. There is a min-max feature here. I'll show you that in a minute. Now we have, let's clear this out. This is the PPP used in the period. Let's just clear the contents. And then let's also do another largest to smallest. And we have 268. So this little area right here, you could put the dates in if you want. It really just doesn't matter. It's really a preference because there's a little formula that I built into it to calculate the days remaining in case you run into trouble. But it's really more for informational, but you don't have to use it. So we didn't use any PPP yet. We're still at 268. Here, this box you don't really need it unless there's some other custom situation you're working in. So we're at 268. Now they have an owner. Obviously, we know the attribution rules disallow owners and family members and just about everybody. So sometimes I highlight just so I can know who the owners are. So we got that. And I'm just going to go equals this row for high-low PPP used. That's what HL means. I don't know if that's a good way to do it, but PPP remaining is negative. So we overshot it by a little bit. So I'm just going to clear contents, 6690 remaining. I'm just using a fairly consistent method. So we ate up all PPP just by data sorting. The owners, we're going to reduce the PPP wages by owner wages so that, it frees up more ERTC to be used later. All ERTC has been eliminated in the second quarter. So now what? I'm going to scroll down here and let's see here. Just make sure my data looks good. It's looking pretty good. Like I said, you want to double check this. You want to do your min-max with this. All this really means is it's the minimum between this or this. And sometimes if there's no prior wages, you might have something pop out here. So you just want to double check your spreadsheet. No big deal. Now here, we're not going to use now because we've already eaten PPP. So we're going to just eliminate owner wages. Okay, so that was good. That was easy. Same thing here. And basically, this is done. And this is a summary recap at the bottom. It's going to tell you what the ERTC wages are, what the credit is, okay, Q1, Q2, and so on and so forth. What's interesting here is once you start entering now, obviously there is no Q1. You have to separate the ERTC wages on the 941 for the second quarter of 2020. It's going to ask you, the 941X is going to ask you what ERTC wages were from March 13th to March 31st. That's what you're going to put there. And obviously what the wages are for the current period, which is, I believe, box 30. And it's actually 33 for the first quarter. So, and then the credit is going to be based on your 941 for the period. So let's say your FICA, it's 50% of FICA. Let's say your FICA for the period was 15,000. Well, half of that is 7,500. That's the non-refundable, and the refundable is going to be the first quarter credit plus the second quarter credit minus the non-refundable portion. So again, you could look at this, you could format it any way you want, but it's already set up like this. And there you have it. So, and then you should just go here. Check formulas. In this case, the credit was only 11,633, but the non-refundable portion was higher, based on the eligible non-refundable. So just make that equal the actual credit, and that's why I had that highlighted before. I bet very rarely happens, and just so happened that in this case it did happen. All right, so 2020 is done. So you could see how fast that worked. And it's really incredible when you see that work so quickly like that. Now we have 2020. And again, we'll go back to the spreadsheet. Oops. We will go back to the spreadsheet, which was the one I just did. All right. So we're at Q2 outside. We want to go to outside here. Oops, I forgot to grab the names. So let me grab the names first. Q1 outside 21. And then in. Okay. We're not going to do any sorting yet. Actually, what happened here? Yeah. Oh, this was sorted somehow. Okay, on this one, that's fine. All right. So Q2 is all in. So we'll just go all in with Q2 2021. Plenty of wages again. plenty of wages to absorb that. This client actually received the same exact amount of PPP and PPP 1 and 2. So actually what I had, sorry, I forgot to add that. So 268.20. So plenty of wages. So Q3 is just going to be a total as well. So I'm just going to grab the total Q3 2021. And there is no Q4. This is just in case you have multiple, in case you just have a longer period to eat the wages, that you can use that column if you needed to. So I think we're good now there. And high-low. All right, so let's go to largest to smallest again. In the 2021 spreadsheet, you don't necessarily need to. You don't have the same issues with remaining wages, so you don't really have to worry about changing anything with min-max or making these zeros. It's just a different calculation process. All right, so let's just clear the contents here and start from scratch. So there's 179 in wages. Let's identify the owners again. Owner. Well, this is going to be easy for the Q1 in. So I'm just going to say equals that and just drag it down. So we still have 89,000 remaining. Okay. Well, in this case, we want to take it from the owners first, right? Well, there you go. And I'll just kind of ding this one, I guess. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. I guess it really doesn't matter. We'll give the IRS a bone. We'll throw them a bone. We'll just reduce someone else's credit by a little bit. So we'll throw them a bone there. All right. So now we're done, and everything else should flow up. The one thing we do need to do is eliminate the owner wages from any further credits. I lock this column, obviously, as you can see, because it's easier for me to kind of toggle back and forth with. And let's see here. Someone got a really big commission there. So I think we're good to go here. And you'll see, again, these numbers, if you just click on it, you'll see where it's all being added. Double check, always double check, because people, if you're working on multiple cases and you forgot where you left off and you customize something, that can happen. So I mean, double check your formulas, obviously, but this is also a really nice double check too. But you're going to want to double check your columns and everything else. And on the 2021 spreadsheet, I just have like a total. It should be, the 127 from prior. And again, same concept here. It'll calculate and it'll tell you what line it should be on for the 941X. So these two will always match up to the credit, the total credit. So non-refundable and refundable are always going to tie out to the ERTC credit. So you could see, I don't even know, I think we've been talking for about 20 minutes or so. That's how fast this is. I mean, that's just how fast this is. And then, going into the 941s are the easy part. Okay, the 941s are the easy part, and you should see an example of what the 941 should look like, and what boxes to check and what's worked, and keep things simple in terms of the explanation, that kind of thing. But in terms of the data analysis, again, once you have the format, once you format your spreadsheet, once you add in the columns you need, once you have your data and you format it in the way you need to, add the PPP period, the period and the PPP, do the pivot table to go into here, you are good to go. I mean, it's just that fast. So hopefully this was helpful. Certainly, if you have some questions, reach out to me. If you want to do a consult, of course, I will be happy to do that. And I will have information on consultation and whatnot. So, but this should be good for you to get rolling and stand up your process. So, best of luck to you, and look forward to hearing from you. And if you need anything again, just reach out. All right. Talk soon.